All right, good. So we have our recap. I think there's still some people at the restroom. Yes. Okay, so we need to do it. All right, so we have our recap. What I want to do is start with the quotes today, and we're going to see today dialogue is a very important feature of this short story, and we're going to analyze it, okay? A couple of things I want you to remember. Diction, tone, and syntax. They are going to be very big players today. Yes? The chick person, go ahead. Oh, I love this. Thank you for starting with that question. Okay? Two things. We can go with this one of two ways. One, stories about the 20s or 30s. So back then it wasn't widely known in the medical world that drinking was such an impact on pregnancies. Okay? So it wasn't something where it was like, oh, you're pregnant, don't ever have a drink back then. Okay? It was a much different society. And that's when we want to know the historical context because that changes how we look at her. Now, in saying that, if we take our society in social context today, it adds a little bit if we kind of push Hemingway's historical point aside and take our own into it, right? Because if we presume that she knows that the alcohol can hurt the pregnancy, well, then what is it saying about her character by drinking? Yeah, right? She's saying, I want the baby, but what I'm doing is could potentially lose the pregnancy, right? And at the same point, it shows the irresponsible nature of her, right? Not considering the consequences also, okay? So whichever way you look at it, it both adds. Gives you the historical context on one hand. The other hand gives you a bit more of a reader perspective, okay? Any other questions from yesterday? Yes.
Going off of, like, what you
Okay. Oh, all right. Okay. Go ahead.
Like how she was saying, like, the immaturity of, like, the girl, is that, like, why they lowercase it?
Oh, yes. Very good. And we were going to get to that today with the quotes, but I want you to write that down right now. The girl is immature. And one reason that actually highlights that is how is the waitress referred to in the story by Hemingway? Woman. So we have woman and girl. Does everyone remember at the first week when I gave you that funky word called juxtaposition? That crazy little word? That's when you put two things side by side to show that they're different, right? You juxtapose them, all right? Woman, girl, side by side. The immaturity level is known. Great point. Up here. All right, any other questions? All good. All these points are really good. Things we want to make sure we're well known. All right, here we go. We're starting with the dialogue. Girl asks, what should we drink? Man said, it's pretty hot. Let's drink beer. Dos cervezas. Big ones? Yes, 2 big ones. All right, 1. Took care of the drinking aspect already, which is going to be what I started with today. So boom, right already out of the gate. Couple other things I'm going to talk about here is 1, man says it's pretty hot. Why? What is he expressing? Good. What's that word when the characters are uncomfortable? There you go. Tension. Good. That it's hot expresses the tension within the atmosphere, okay? The uncomfortable atmosphere. Now, why else beer? Why? Why are they drinking beer? You're going in the right direction. And that simple thinking is going to get you places in this class. That was a compliment indirectly. Okay, so 1, it will make things easier. Now, don't write that down yet. I want to go one step further. By lightening the mood, what are they trying to do? Think deeply. What are they trying to do? We talked about it with the shade already. And again, Hemingway is a repeater, right? So if we see something once that's prominent, you're going to see it again and again and again throughout the story.
They're trying to escape from the problem.
There it is, right there. Avoidance or escape. They're trying to escape the problem by drinking. Now, what it also is interesting is why else are they drinking? Think about what else it does mentally to people. Yes, sir. Yeah, I need one step further. You're right there. You're like on the verge of hopping it. I think you were kind of with like the escape avoidance one almost. No. Think more directly of like what alcohol literally does to the brain.
It changes your brain and makes you think different.
You're going in. That's the right direction, but I need the end point of that. You're right. It what? No, I want to go back to what she said. It changes your brain. So I want to talk about what that changes.
Do they forget?
Not necessarily forget.
Could it change someone's mind or opinion?
You're going in the right direction. I want to know what it makes it harder to do. Yeah, right there. It makes it harder to concentrate, and it makes it harder to make a judgment, right? And judgment is in that final decision. Think about people that drink. They all go, oh, yeah, I can drive. That's why we have so many DUIs, because the drinking impaired their judgment of the situation and their knowledge of what was actually happening in reality. So what's going on here is they're drinking not only to escape, but to impair their ability to make that judgment or the final decision that they must make. Now, also what's interesting is how the characters interact here. Okay? She says, let's drink beer. And what does he do immediately? Go ahead. He orders it. Okay? Great. Why? Why did Hemingway have that happen? That's the level we're looking for. Acknowledge the simple, jump to the complex. And right there, he didn't give her time to think. Write that down. What does it also show about their relationship, particularly the man?
He totally took action of the situation.
Boom, right there, he took control. He didn't wait for her. He said, boom, order. Continues. The waitress says, big ones. Yes, 2 big ones. So again here, man has control, but what's interesting is this line gives us something else. How does this line connect to atmosphere? Atmosphere, how the characters feel in the situation and setting. How does this line connect to it? Yeah, they don't just want a beer. He wants a tall beer, right? So again, that's indicative of the tension that's in the situation and the amount that they need to escape it, right? So again, all this, I want you guys to see how everything is interconnected, right? It's all this weebly, wobbly, webby of wonderful wonders. All right, continuing on. The woman brought 2 glasses of beer and 2 felt pads. Well, wait a second. What just happened? They just said they wanted 2 big ones, and all of a sudden the woman's there with the glasses? Something's not adding up here. What happened between that last piece of dialogue and the narration? Yep, put a line. We're going to track those today. Put a line straight across. Awkward silence. It's time that we should have seen dialogue, okay, but we don't. What we do is we almost flash forward a little bit, right, because the waitress had to leave, get the drinks, right, get everything out there, probably just peek your head up and then come back out, put everything on the table, and now we're back to the narration, okay? Everyone get that? Watch those awkward silences. Try to pick up on them as we move through today. She put the felt pads and the beer glass on the table, and what does she do? Good. She looks at them, right? She looks at the man, and she looks at the girl. Where did she come from? Yes, I know her mother who, didn't have an abortion. Somebody always likes to make that connection.
Inside the bar from the other people.
Good. Inside the bar. What does inside the bar represent? Society. She's the bridge, right? She's the only character that goes both in the bar until the end, and we'll hold on to that for a second. She comes from out, talks with them, and then goes back in. Now, what that means, we need to wait until the end to preserve, but we know that her character serves as some connecting bridge between the element of society and the couple and their conversation. All right, we get into the good stuff. The girl was looking off at the line of hills. All right, we talked yesterday about what the hills represent, yes? A raised piece of ground because something's pushing up. So what is it again? Good, her belly. Now, it says she's looking off at the line of the hills. So which direction is she looking? This is important. Every detail is important. Again, find the chocolate chips and pull them out. Going almost in the right direction. No, it's not the literal stomach. What does it mean if I'm looking off? Which literally I'm standing here. Which way would be off? Yep, right there. You guys all just said it. Forward, right? Again, that's what I said. Simple, Andrew, right? The simple things lead you in the right direction. I'm looking off. I'm looking forward. Symbolically, what does that mean? Yeah.
Your mind is somewhere else.
Which direction? Forward. What direction is that? What am I looking at if I'm looking forward? Yeah, write it down. She's looking at the future. Hemingway is a spectacular author, and if he wanted to indicate she was looking at the past, would he not have used his diction, his word choice, to indicate that she had turned around and looked backwards? But he says off. So she's looking off into the distance. And what is she looking at? The hills. So right now, what is she thinking about? Yep, she's thinking about, well, not the baby. You're close. And that's a very distinct difference. Right now, she's thinking about the pregnancy. Put that down 1. All right, because the next sentence, and star the next sentence, because it is a masterful piece of writing, this next sentence. So we know that she's looking at the hills literally, but in her mind, she's thinking about the pregnancy. Now look at this. They were white in the sun, and the country was brown and dry. It looks like a pretty lame sentence if you don't dig into it. Okay? But so the hills, white, circle it. We talked about before, right? Purity, innocence, all of those things. Sun, right? Warmth, life, light. So, Hemingway's diction in the first half of that sentence, positive, negative connotation. Positive or negative about the hills? Do you think it's positive or negative by using white and sun? Positive. Very good. Jot that down. So in the immediate future, she sees herself pregnant. And she thinks positive thoughts. This is important. Now, very clear, does she have a baby bump yet? Oh, I like this. No, no, yes, yes. What would tell you if she had a baby bump or not? Hold on that. You got something coming up later, Andrew? It could be, and I think you and Kylie here had the same thought. Keep thinking. Another element would be different in here. Would act differently if the girl was actually showing. Okay, she might not be drinking, but what else would tell us? Keep thinking. Something else would give us this highlight. The waitress. If she had a baby bump, Hemingway would have made sure to point out that the waitress would have talked about the baby bump somehow. But he didn't. So indicating to us that the waitress had no idea that she was pregnant. Okay? Everything's on purpose. All right? So very important. She doesn't have the baby bump yet, but she is picturing herself with the baby bump. Okay? And it's positive. Now, ready for a little mind-blowing? The hills are cloaked in sunlight. Who remembers from yesterday? Oh, hold on to that thought.
God would approve of her.
Yeah! Right there. When she thinks of herself pregnant, the hills are all covered in sun. We talked about the sun being in the sky, representing particularly God at this point. And so because of that, we see that positive influence there upon the pregnancy and her views of it. Everybody got that? Line straight over the word and. Start mapping out sentences and look for shifts. That and is explosive. All right? Syntax. And. The country was brown and dry. This line is a juxtaposition. Hemingway is juxtaposing